All right, let's talk about something that is the stuff of nightmares. A mystery that has absolutely terrified people for centuries: spontaneous human combustion.
I mean, it's a horrifying thought, isn't it? The idea that, with no warning at all, a human body could just ignite from within and be reduced to ash. For hundreds of years, this has been the stuff of horror stories and wild tabloid headlines. But is there any truth to it? So, to get to the bottom of this, let's start with the legend itself. Because we're not talking about just any old house fire here. This is about a very specific, incredibly bizarre, and honestly chilling kind of event that seems to defy all logic. So the technical term is spontaneous human combustion, or SHC. And the popular idea is that it's when a human body burns away without any apparent external cause. And that right there is the key word: spontaneous. The whole legend is built on the idea that the fire starts from inside the body. No dropped match, no faulty wiring, nothing. It just happens. And this is what makes these stories so captivating and, frankly, so creepy. You hear about investigators showing up to a scene where a body has been almost completely turned into ash, right there in a chair, but a stack of newspapers sitting right next to it, totally untouched. Maybe the ceiling is a little sooty, but the rest of the room is perfectly fine. It just doesn't make any sense, right? How is that even possible? To answer that, we have to kind of switch gears. We need to stop thinking like we're watching a horror movie and start thinking like detectives. Because when you actually look at all the reported cases, a very clear pattern starts to emerge from the clues. So check this out. Certain things just keep popping up in these cases. The victim is often elderly or has limited mobility. They're usually inside and almost always alone. And here's the big one. There is almost always a potential source of fire nearby: a candle, a fireplace, or very often a dropped cigarette. Plus, you get these weird details, like the person's torso being completely destroyed while a hand or a foot is left perfectly intact. All these details that seem so mysterious are actually the keys to solving the puzzle. And this brings us right to the core of the scientific investigation. You see, the real issue isn't whether a human body can burn in this strange, localized way. The question is, can it happen spontaneously? This really illustrates the scientific view perfectly. Combustion is a well-understood process. We know how fire works. But the word spontaneous suggests something happening without any cause at all, which basically violates the fundamental laws of physics. Science is always looking for the cause, for that initial spark.
So if it's not spontaneous, what is it? Well, the leading explanation is an elegant and, a slightly gruesome process known as the wick effect. It basically turns the human body into a candle.
So let's just compare the two views here. The myth describes this impossible fire that starts from the inside. Science, on the other hand, suggests a fire that starts from the outside, needs a small ignition source, and totally follows the laws of combustion, just in a really unusual way. And this is the absolute key to the whole thing. The wick effect explains it all. You know how a candle works, right? It needs a wick to draw up the melted wax, which is the fuel, to the flame. Well, in these cases, the person's clothing can act as the wick, and liquefied body fat acts as the fuel. It's a really powerful analogy. A regular candle has the wax on the outside and the wick on the inside. In these situations, the wick, the clothing, is on the outside, and the fuel, the body fat, is on the inside. It's literally an inside-out candle. Let's break down exactly how this happens. First, there's an ignition from an outside source. A cigarette falls onto a shirt, for example. Second, the clothing acts as the wick, and as the person's body fat heats up and melts, it soaks into the fabric. Third, that body fat then becomes the fuel, just like candle wax, feeding the flame. And fourth, this creates a very slow, low-temperature, contained fire that can smolder for hours, consuming the torso without setting the entire room on fire. So let's bring it all together. All of those clues that seemed so bizarre at the beginning, the untouched newspapers, the single burnt limb, they all start to make perfect sense when you see them through the lens of the wick effect. So here's the crucial takeaway. The combustion is very, very real. Human bodies can and do burn in these strange, contained ways. But the spontaneous part, that's the myth. It isn't magic, it isn't some supernatural event. It's a tragic accident explained by a simple, if grisly, scientific principle. The mystery wasn't really in the fire, but in our misunderstanding of it. And that leaves us with a final thought. For centuries, spontaneous human combustion was seen as proof of something paranormal. Today, it's a case study in how scientific inquiry works. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other paranormal mysteries out there just have a scientific solution waiting to be discovered?